New day, new video, and if you want to know everything what I have done today, just look in the timestamps. It's just the easiest way to show everything. And yeah, look the video. Have fun.
And the first improvement that I've made today is on the learnc++.com website. I went from chapter 2.1 to 2.4 to learn the basics of function a bit more, and yeah, I go through it very broadly, and let's go. The first one was Introduction to Functions. We basically looked into the syntax and how functions work, and we first had to know that we need a type and then a function name. Then we went through all of the code here that we can see where the function goes, that we go first to do print, then it goes to the actual function, then it writes what's in the function, and then it continues. And that's all, and never forget the parentheses, that the function actually works, so you can have a function. And then we went through some more code that you can call a function multiple times, and then that you can put functions into functions, like you have to do a call here, you go to the do a, and you can do another function in the do a, and then call out the do b. And we went further into nested function, that you cannot do them, that you cannot put a function into a function, otherwise the compiler will say no. And then we went further, that the variant that works, that you have to make them separate, and then we finally came to the questions, and it basically wanted a simple example that we know what it does, and it just does do A, we go to do A, it does do B as well, so the code will put out do A, and then, first it will do A, then B one time and B a second time, because we want to execute it a second times, and this one at the start, starting main, and ending main at the beginning and at the end. And as you can see, perfect. And that's it for the first side, and now we go to the second. And here we looked into return values, and that's basically that what we see here. Return 0, for example, that is the end for the main function, that it knows the program has ended. Then we looked into void functions, that we knew void functions don't need a return because they return nothing, because it's a void function. Then we looked into integer functions. They can return numbers, and we have to return something, because if we don't return something, we have an undefined function, and this can cause so many undefined errors. And you will not want to figure out from where this error could come. Just define every function you write in some way, or comment it out. Just don't have an uninitialized function, otherwise you will search for a long time. And then we went on and looked into some more examples, that you can go and put a value or write a value and get it to your code. For example, here we can put an input, an integer input, then return the input. For example, we type 3, and then we have the value 3 from our function back. Then it prints us the number 3, double is 6, and this is what it returns. Then we went further. This was the thing about the return main, that it says it is 0, so the program knows it is good. You could also do exit success with this library, because you need it for this command, but you don't really need it. You can just use the return to 0. And then we went on and made a similar example, or that's basically the same example, just here's an example of a function that produces undefined behavior. Yes, because we don't have a return here, and you don't want to do that. Just always do the return. The correct would be return the input, so it can return the input, otherwise it will not. It will just lose the thing, because it is just memory that is nowhere, and the compiler want to do something with that memory and cannot. And here the best practice, make sure your functions with non-void return types return a value in all cases. Failure to return a value from value returning function will cause undefined behavior. Yeah, and you don't want that. And then we went on and it said functions can only return a single value. There are some cases where it can make more returnable values, but this is for later things. That's a more advanced thing. And then the function's author can decide what the return values mean. So yeah, that's basically writing it, and then the return value will be that. And now we went into reusing functions. So if you have two similar codes, you can just put them into one function and make them work. Like in the next example, you have here the get value from user. You put this one here, and you can get the value from integer x and from the integer y with the same function. And then we went on here, best practice, don't repeat yourself. This is the try. And then we have also the opposite of dry is wet, write everything twice, and you get it. And then we have some examples down here. Assume you have threat warning as error turned off, and you have to determine the faults that are here on this page, and we can go and look at it. And actually this one works, and you can see the return. This program prints the number 16. This is all fine. Then we go to the next one, and we see you cannot make a function in a function. That is invalid, and it will say that nested functions are not allowed. Then we go on, and we see that this should work, but it will return nothing because there is no cout or anything. It will return it, but it will not do anything with it. This program compiles but does produce any output. The return values from the functions are not used for anything. And now the next one, we have here two returns in one function, and it will only use the top one because the second one it cannot do anything because only the first return will be used. That means all things will return 5. It will return it twice, yes. And then we have here a spelling error, that because the 5 has a space in between, so it does not work because the name is wrong. And then we go on, and here we have a wrong spelled function because here the parentheses are missing. And then what does try stand for, and why is a useful practice? Don't repeat yourself. And now we go to the next chapter. And in here we had the void function, and it just returns nothing. And as you can see, we have no return here. We can just say hi, and then the function has done what it has to do, and done. And you don't have to make a return because that's unnecessary. Do not put a return statement at the end of a non-value returning function. And I think that's all that this thing has to say. Returning a value from a void function is a compile error. Don't return something from a void function, it will cause an error. But that is basically it from this page. And now to the last chapter, we went into introduction to functions, parameters, and arguments. This is basically that if we want to add a new function to it and want to have a value from somewhere else, like we have the value in the main function, but we want to also use it in another function, we have to declare the function in this function. We need the integer num in here, that it knows that num will be used here. So we have to add int num over the stdc out here, that it knows that it will have it in here. And another way they have implemented is that you can just put it up here. You can just put it in the parentheses. Those are made for exactly this reason, that you can put the value in the parentheses that you use in the function. And if you want to call it out, for example, do print or print value, and say 6, then it will print it. It will put this value into integer x. For example, if we write in the main function print value parentheses 6 parentheses closed, then the integer x has the value 6 and it will print out 6 for x. And when we continue, it will exactly also do that. We have here the print values 6 and 7, and the first number is for the x, the second number is for the epsilon, and it will write all of them. And then we continue fixing our challenge program, and here, yes, we fixed it. We have a value here, and with that value that we have created here, it knows that the num that we have from get value from user, we can change that up. It does not have to be the same as the other name. We can make for the function itself another name that it is much clearer. And num is in this case then value, because num will be transferred to value. Then it will print out the number, double it as well, and then it will print that all out. And then using return values as arguments. And here, yes, here we have the return value, here input, and here we have the function in a function. That means we have the function here that we call out, but we want to have the get value from the user. That means we first get the value from the user, so we are going to get it. Then it asks us for the integer, and then it gets us the output, and then it goes to the print double, and then it makes that code, and then it doubles it and prints it out. But you don't have to do that like this, because it can be confusing. If you are used to do it in the other way, separate, it is also good. It is just a little bit more compact. And now how parameters and return values work together. And here you can say we have integer x, integer y, and then you can just add them. And here, if you want to add it, you can just add 4 to x and 5 to epsilon, and all works. And here you have a very good example. The 4 at the first place goes to x, the 5 goes to the second one, and then it just adds it, and that one is 9, and it prints it out. Finished. And more examples, there are much more here. Add 4 and 5, 9, add 1 plus 2 multiplied times 4, 12, 15, perfect. And you can do that with everything. And you can make it say a is 5, and then AA, it knows a is 5, and then it adds it because we have to add one, and it is then 10. And here we have a multiply as well, multiply 2 by 3, and like it says here, it is now plus 1, we have here 7. And it does all that by itself, and it's very practical, and yeah. And down here it explains everything that we have made in here. And we go to unreferenced parameters. That means we have nothing in the function. And yeah, that will cause an error. And you could avoid that by putting away the identifier. With that, we have only the header with no value at all, and this will work because we have no value that is undefined. And you could also do another way, just comment the variable out, so we have no value to make. And it also says in the best practice, when a function parameter exists but is not used in the body of the function, do not give it a name. You can optionally put a name inside the comment. And so when you make a comment, you have the existing name, and you don't have to figure out a new one when you want to add it later. And yeah, that's it for the programming part. And yeah, let's go to the next part. And the next one is that I have started with tip 10 to improve my writing skills on my keyboard. And yeah, does not look that good because to get used to the 10 finger system is quite a challenge because I have another system how I write at the moment. And yeah, I hope it will get much better. I have already started it once. I improved my typing skills a bit because I got used to it a little bit, but I changed it again. But it's still better than at the very beginning because I got used to some finger habits that I have used after first lesson that I've previously learned. But now I'm trying it again, and I hope for better progress now. And I will keep updating on what I have now and how good I am at the moment. And a new improvement that I have made is that I will have a new microphone. I just bought it, but it will come very soon to my home and I will directly use it. But for now, I still have my crappy microphone, but it will soon be here and it will definitely improve the quality of the videos and make them more enjoyable to watch. And yeah,
And that's almost the end of the video, and I just want to say thank you for everybody that lasted until this moment of the video. I'm really glad that you're here. And for the end, I just want to say I had to work this morning. I was staying up at 6 until 5 at the evening, and today I had about from 5 to 11, that's about, yeah, still 6 hours to make this video and all the content in it. And yeah, I try to make as much as possible. Tomorrow I work as well. I will have not that much time to do the video, but on Friday and over the weekend I have a lot of time to do more content and more improvements on our future things. Maybe I start the website on Friday and Saturday to make some big improvements. And yeah, that's about what I do next. And I also started to read a book here, if you can read it, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. It's a very interesting book and I learned a lot about it because I can organize myself much better because he talks about all the little goals you have to make yourself and to have a really good reason to improve, that you have an inner feeling that pushes you forward and that you don't procrastinate. And that's very important to progression. And yeah, that's it. And I would say that is a good end of the video. And I would say I hope you had a good time watching it or learned something in the programming part maybe. And yeah, I would say bye.